can assure you nobody's taking that hat for this year.
But I hope he will retire after he loses.
There won't be another Kofi. I'm impressed with everybody but him.
It's because they're scared that they may be wrong.
Fully capable of surpassing all of them.
I'm going to give her a run for her money.
I'm coming to win. I'm not coming for fun.
Fair and unfortunate.
He's going to come with losses. It's not the end of the world.
Need for a black curtain backdrop, and I get it.
Bodybuilding is my control within chaos.
My conditioning kills.
Look, you got a really exclusive interview because I ain't been saying none of this shit, yo. I've been holding my tongue on the internet.
Yes, guys, Suki from BTS TV. Today, I got my co-host, Marnie. We haven't got Kerry because I think she's traveling, still back from the States. So we're going to give her this week off and bring her back in next week. But I did want to bring in a guest. I've been meaning to try again for a while. But you know what? It's perfect timing, especially after Olympia. It's, of course, James from Team Atlas. James, you're good, buddy?
How's it going, guys? Yeah, not too bad. How about you?
Well, like I said, mate, obviously before the call, I'm suffering from a virus. My throat, my chest is absolutely killing me. I have to blame the aircon over in the resort world because, of course, as you know, aircon is absolutely alien to us in the UK. Marnie, I know when did you arrive back in the UK?
Like 24 hours ago, but I slept for 14 hours last night and woke up at 2 p.m. So that's great. Straight back into client check-ins and stuff because obviously we have the UK Pro Qualifier this weekend. So yeah, just getting all my girls ready for that. But otherwise, so glad we were able to make it to the Olympia. It was such a good trip.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to go straight into it. But I think before we go break down the Olympia and the bikini division, obviously, James, this is where I'm really keen to get your thoughts. You've already released a video. I will include the link in the comments, in the bio, should you want to check out James's video on his breakdown of the Bikini Olympia lineup. Let me just start with yourself, mate, first with your girls. I just feel that it's always a good place to look at your ones. You've obviously got Eevee, Europe's #1 bikini pro. I think it's been for a number of years now. Ari in top 10. Your general assessment on how your team did at the Olympia 2025?
Yeah, so I've already spoken to all my athletes on what we can kind of improve on and what we should do going forward. For Eevee, as I mentioned in my breakdown, I thought her legs were a little bit too lean, but the issue that we need to fix next year, is that she needs to stay at the same hotel as me at the host hotel for the Olympia because, it's going to reduce the amount of times I could actually check her when she's at a different hotel and it's to Uber and stuff too. And I was at the host hotel, so I feel like we could have peaked her a little bit better if I was keeping an eye on her more often. So, when we did Pittsburgh and New York, she was bang on, full condition was an issue. And then this show, it's when the girls have to go back and forth and they're not in their usual routine, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So I would have definitely maybe she was the same weight as Pittsburgh and New York, but she gained more muscle mass, right? So then that means she's going to be coming in leaner. If you're the same weight, you gain more muscle mass. So I think that was the issue there. If she was perfect and as good as she was at Pittsburgh and New York, would she have beat Laura Lee? I don't know. She should have, but I don't know if they would have moved her ahead of her just yet. But yeah, I'm still really happy with 7th place for her. She's extremely happy too. She just wanted to make the top 10. I'm like, it's obviously you're going to make the top 10. Yeah.
And
with
Ari,
Ari, we've only been working together for a year. We'll talk to her about that today, and we've improved. Talked to Sandy on the phone today. Yeah, she had mentioned that it was, her best look so far, so that's good, but we still could have done better. I went over everything with her and what we could have done differently. And Ari, we finally figured out this condition problem with her because that was the feedback for the last 3 shows we did, and her body was just not leaning down. There's nothing we could do. It didn't matter the different PDs or increasing cardio, reducing stress on the body, increasing food, reducing food. Her body was just I'm not getting leaner. So we finally took a break off of competing, and she hasn't had a break in a long time, and that really helped her. I actually reduced the amount of time she was training per week as well, from 6 down to 5, and I think that helped her too. Just kind of reduce stress off her body. And yes, it was a really easy prep for her. She was ready way in advance. We kind of just cruised in. But one mistake that that we both kind of made in this peak week is, and we realized after, because you can only realize things when you make a mistake afterwards. Typically you don't realize during it because then it wouldn't be a mistake. So she had booked so many photo shoots in peak week, and it really threw her off her normal schedule. So usually she just like goes to the gym and then goes home and like, works from home and doesn't like really walk around that much. But she was like traveling everywhere every day. Her body was very tired. Her mentally she was tired too. She had to skip training on Wednesday because she was too tired and peak with the Olympia. And then on Saturday she took like she had to like walk for like an hour like towards the expo like in the sun because like she took like the Tesla tunnels and there was a lot of and then standing at the booth for a while too. So when she woke up Saturday morning, she was 2 pounds lighter than she normally is, which is not good because then she was flat. And the problem with her is that she needs to wake up perfect and then you kind of maintain that with a little bit of food, a little bit of water, but she holds water very quickly if you give her water. So we couldn't make up that 2 pound difference that she had lost in the morning of the show. She would have just looked watery, so that's the main issue. And we realized that after, and she's like, yeah, it's true. I did too many things. And I was like, yes, but I should have been able to see her more. I guess I saw her 2 or 3 times on Saturday, but I should have been able to see her more and kind of adjusted that. But I didn't really think she would lose 2 pounds because her weight was so consistent for the last 4 weeks. You know what I mean? So now we kind of know what to look for, and it's all making the small adjustments and understanding where you could change things in the future. So yeah, that's
Well,
what's
look, I'm
up.
looking forward to see what the girls next do next as well. I mean, once again, I spoke to Eevee after the show. She was so happy,
Yeah,
smiling from
he's the
ear to
best.
ear. She's always happy. But like I said, she is the number one ranked European pro. She's held that
Yeah,
position for a number of years. Yes, she actually tasted defeat earlier this year, but you know what?
yeah.
She's
I
still
don't know about
cemented.
that, but anyways,
She still cements that place in seventh at the Olympia, which is no easy feat. Okay, let's go straight into the bikini lineup. Now, I'm
sure.
gonna go in straight away, and because I know just in case they do watch it, because I'm sure I might get a message from a certain person, I will say that obviously I did not have Maureen in my top six. I didn't have Maureen in my top 10 in my predictions. So it takes a big man to admit when they're wrong, and I'm definitely one. I actually told them that in person. So first off, a huge, huge congratulations to a two-time Bikini Olympia champion, Maureen from the Philippines. Congratulations to the whole team because though I've seen a lot of feedback has been all over the place, people's opinions, the reality is she has the title. She's got the title for the next 12 months. So once again, huge congratulations to her, which now leaves me, and I'm going to throw it to you, James and Marnie. Maybe start with yourself, James, and then go on to Marnie to give me your thoughts as well. Um, we've seen, obviously, based on social media, that the response has been very split when it comes
Mhm.
to the winner of Olympia, which is nothing new when it comes to certain other divisions. We've seen it in the Open, we've seen it in other divisions before, but yeah, we're going to talk about the bikini here. Is the split opinion justified?
So yeah, first with what you mentioned with not having Maureen in the top 10. I mean, if she came in looking like Pittsburgh, she wouldn't have been in the top 10. But that's why when people ask me, who do you think's going to win the Olympia? What are your predictions? I never do them because it's literally, for me, it's a waste of time because it literally just depends. No one had on their bingo card that Lorley was not going to be in the top five. Not even me. So
Yeah.
no one's, I don't think ever would have been able to predict any year's perfect like top 10. Even like last year, Jazzy in third. Like no one would have ever thought that. So it's like, that's why I never do predictions. It's like, I always say there's no point. It just depends who shows up. So, um, I thought Marine was a definite winner in person. I explained that on my recap video when I went to detail why. Um, I think the live stream, I saw some live stream footage, and I think it made her look a lot worse than she did in real life, in my opinion. Like, because it was like side angles where the judges don't even see, coming in from like the side of the stage, and so you see a little bit of like a glute depth, but the judges can only see things from their perspective, which is like lower and a little bit further away in front. So. Um, in person, she wins the back pose in that whole top 10 lineup just based off of symmetry and the fullness of the glutes. And she's perfectly balanced from the top to bottom. The front pose, she was the second best in that lineup behind Jazzy. Jazzy had the best front pose, and Maureen had the second best front pose. But yeah, she is perfectly, like if you pause right here or whatever, she's perfectly symmetrical from her ankles to starting at the lower calves to her hamstrings, adductors, quads, glutes, shoulders, back with it's perfect symmetry. No one in this lineup has a better front pose than Maureen did at this show. So
Marnie, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I just want to say I did actually watch James's recap video. So for any of the listeners that have not done that yet, you've got to go watch it because it's so detailed. And I just think it's so difficult, right? Because when you're there in person, it's very different to see an athlete in 4D up close, relatively speaking. I agree with what James has said here. Like people forget a lot of the time that bikini is about balance, like top to bottom, front to back, left to right, symmetry and all of those things. And yeah, to me, like this is the thing, like with the whole predictions, like it's hard to remove your personal bias as well when you personally love someone's physique. Maureen to me is bikini, right? I think like she's not too hard, she's not too soft, she's just right, and you want to be in the middle. And yeah, like for me, I think she definitely improved on that Pittsburgh package that she brought. I think she was like round, full, bubbly, and she was in condition. Like for all the people that are saying that she was soft, I highly disagree with that. Like she does have detail there, and it's just the right amount of detail. So that because I think people have been saying online about like the tie-ins or whatever, and again, you've got to take into consideration somebody's genetic structure and like the way that their muscles sit and the insertions and things. I'm sure James could talk more in detail about that as well.
I want to mention one thing too. I saw on Reddit where people were posting her pictures from Pittsburgh and New York side by side and saying she looked better. Sorry, from Pittsburgh and the Olympia, and saying she looked better in Pittsburgh and she was leaner. So why did she not do well there? She looked so much. I was there in Pittsburgh. I've been in every show this year. I'm in the States 30 times a year. She looks so much worse at Pittsburgh than she did Olympia. It's not even close. So the pictures online look like they're similar. Maybe she actually looks better in Pittsburgh. It was day and night. It's not even the same athlete on that stage. So you compare pictures all you want, but in person, it was Pittsburgh. It was her worst look probably of her career, and she would not have been top 10 to Olympia with that look. But at the Olympia, she nailed it. So this wasn't her Olympia. Maybe wasn't her best look when she won. It was probably her best, but this is her second best look. So yeah.
What about areas for? I mean, did you feel that any of the girls in that top six nailed it on
No,
everything?
no. Sandy said the same thing. Not one girl showed up and it was perfect. Not one girl showed up at her best.
So where did
So
Maureen leave the door open that for potentially Ashlyn or Jazz to actually have taken over that top spot?
yeah. So Maureen makes two mistakes in her posing almost all the time. If well, three actually. If she's not in the center, she doesn't angle towards the head judge. She hides her glute. That's the first one. Almost, but what helped her this show, she's in the center, right? So that wasn't an issue. But in Pittsburgh, if you look at pictures and well, I was there in person. She does not angle her glute to the head judge. She poses like straight on, no matter where she's on the stage. That's one thing. Second thing is she hyperextends her knee here in the front pose. And you can't push your glute out properly if you're locking your knee that hard in the front pose. On doesn't matter which girl you are. So if she actually unlocks your knee and relax, not necessarily bent it, but just relax it a little bit, the shape of her leg will look much better and her glute would pop a lot more. So that really takes away from her glute projection. The third thing is when she walks, even from the front of the stage to, the side, but you see it mostly when she walks to the back, is she takes too big of steps to the back. You'll see here, look how big her steps and look how much she crosses. So she
Yeah.
doesn't walk with intention and with keeping her glutes out. If you look at all the other girls, they walk slower, keeping their glutes out, because when the judges are looking at your walk to the back, they're not looking at the symmetry anymore. All they want to see is your glute fullness and making sure the condition and there's no like jiggle, right? And Laura and Maureen both do this, is they don't have intention when they walk to the back. They just walk to the back and kind of hope for the best. Laura kind of drops her glutes, doesn't have any upper glute. And Maureen just kind of walks sexy to the back, kind of just bringing swag. But there's no intention of, I'm going to keep my glutes up and high, because she just drops it right away. So if she fixed that too, that would make her, we would keep all of her glutes, but she just drops it completely and push her pelvis forward and just kind of walks with swag. But I mean, the glutes completely drop here. Look, they're drop, 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 losing fullness.
Yeah.
It's like jiggling a bit. So that hurts her a lot. She fixed those two things, she would be much better.
You can
It
really
should be much
see
harder to do.
that. Yeah, you can really see it's like that upper outer glute that is usually there and it's popping in the back pose, and then immediately you just kind of get that shadow and fall off, right? Is that what you're referring to? Just for anyone that doesn't
Yeah,
understand.
and also like the problem is if you take too big of steps, right? Like well, just for any let's say you're doing the splits, right? The further away your feet are apart, the harder it's gonna allow you to keep your glutes up.
Yeah.
And the thing is with her, watch how she lands. She lands like heel then toe, always every time when she walks. Watch here, heel toe like that. So she hits the toe, she hits the heel, and then her glutes drop every time. So she's not keeping her glutes out. So even her walk and her hips are perfect, but she just takes too big of strides. So she can't, but she's not, if she could take smaller steps and keep her glutes out, but she's not doing that, you know, because maybe no one ever taught her how to do that. I don't know. But that would help her a lot.
Yeah,
So,
it's a skill. I think the bigger your steps, then the more like the pelvis is to kind of like roll away from the judges rather than being hinged back.
yeah,
So
yes, you can
yeah,
take big steps and keep your glutes out. Laura does the same thing.
yeah.
I want to
I'm
touch
really
on
short too. Yeah.
I want to touch on a comment that Coach Adam, Ashley Colbott's coach, who also released a video the other day. So I do recommend as well to check the video out as well. Um, Adam made a statement, the fact that he feels that there's going to be a lot of bikini girls that will not be able to beat Maureen because their physique is now developed much further. Using example, Ashley Colbott. Um, is that something you would agree with, James?
No, there's a lot of girls that will be able to that will never be able to beat Maureen because Maureen has a better structure than them. That's how it is. There's a lot of girls Ari or Lorley or Ashley just based off their structure alone. So if you have two girls at 110% bang on, dead on, right? There's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser at the end of the day. That's just how it is. So, no, it's not just because someone has denser glutes or denser shoulders or a smaller waist does not make them a superior athlete. They're not going to, if they downsize their physique, right? Just to try to get to like the Maureen look. I don't think Maureen looks small in any way here, but if they try to like downsize their physique, like he was saying, it's not going to make them look better on their body, right? So they need to just no one came in at 100%. If someone came in at 100%, they might have been able to beat Maureen because she was at probably 95%, not 100, you know? But either way, a Maureen at 95% is going to beat 99% of the bikini athletes anyways, even more. So no, they don't need to start reducing their muscle size and getting down to try to beat Moren. That's not going to work. They just need to come in at 100% their best, and that'll give them the best chance. So,
And one thing I've seen a lot from a lot of people, whether they compete in the amateur or the pros, are they looking at the comparison of the 2024 winner of Lee and the 2025 winner of Maureen. And some people are now saying that they are confused with what the bikini criteria is. Is there actually is there actually confusement? Is there a major difference
I
when we
don't
saw
think,
Lee and Maureen?
no, I think it's exactly the same. I think it's been the same for the last, since 2020, since Janet 1-ish, 2021, it's been the same. So, um, I've been doing this all day, every day for 10 years. And people are like, James, how do you know bikini so well? I'm like, if I didn't, it would be pretty pathetic. If I'm doing something all day, every day for 10 years, and I don't know what's going on. For me, it's exactly the same criteria. So, um, the thing is, and I saw also on Reddit, people are comparing like the amateur Olympia winner compared to Maureen, and they're saying, oh, it's a different criteria. You're not judging apples to apples there. That leaner physique at the amateur Olympia could have been the best athlete on that stage. You know what I mean? On that day. So if you look at every single pro show, right? You're gonna have some athletes who are a little bit harder, a little bit softer. It just depends who shows up on that day, you know? Like I'll give you an example, like that girl Alice Rocha, she looks really good, but she comes in typically a little bit softer, right? Like more, softer than Maureen guaranteed in her back pose. And she's won a couple shows last year. So is that the criteria of bikini just because she won a show? No. Like I've seen some shows in Europe where a girl wins and she's too lean. Is that the criteria of bikini? No, but she was the best athlete on that day. So you need to be objective and look at the overall picture. I think the winners of the Olympia have been very consistent for the last 5 years.
I was just going to say there, I think the pool of athletes is what's going to determine the winner,
Yeah.
right? So that's why, like in the amateur shows, it's going to be different. It's almost, in a way, you could say that there's like three leagues here. There's the amateur league, the pro league, and then there's the Olympia league. Because again, in your pro shows, you have not got Maureen showing up at every pro show, right?
No.
Or Lee showing up at the pro shows. So I think, yeah, like what you've just said there about like Alice as an example, it's based on the pool of athletes in that specific lineup. And that's where I think for me, I was really curious to see how it would go down at the Olympia and if things would change. And seeing this now, bikini criteria definitely has not changed. Even though we've got fit model as well introduced into the pro league next year. That's my 2 cents anyway.
Well, look,
Yeah, people
one
are saying
thing.
there's a blur between fit model and bikini. There's not. I made 8 fit model
Yeah,
posts so far. They don't look anything like Maureen. So
exactly. Yeah.
One comment that's come up quite a bit has been the fact that, well, first off, Ashlin, congratulations. I mean, you were definitely one of mine where I thought that, you know what, you can make a huge statement, and you did. This is pretty much a win for yourself in taking second, having beaten Amy and Vanya, those girls who you've competed against on numerous occasions this year. James, one comment I saw a lot on a lot of posts was the fact that we got Maureen and Ashlin, and Ashlin's core condition seems to be far more superior. We see the obliques, and there was a lot of confusion, thinking people thinking, wait there, you got someone who looks leaner versus the winner in Moren. Is there a difference? Is this something that we're missing here? Or is it maybe she's just squeezing her obliques out versus what Moren's doing? Are you able to
So
give us a better
yeah, a
understanding for
couple
that?
things too. So I don't want to say which judges or whatever, but Ashley came in too lean in the back pose. That was one thing. So um the thing is with the waist, right? You can compare waist to waist, but it's like no one's ever gonna have a waist like Issa Bashini. No one's ever like if you compare Laura Lee's waist to Issa wins 100 times. So it's like, but then Laura Lee beats her at the shows. So it's not just like one body part per one body part. And also Ashlyn in like a lot of these two pictures, her waist looked really small. But in my recap video, I posted an actual like video of like the comparisons, and you'll see there's many instances where Maureen's waist is the same size as Ashlyn and vice versa. So in this video, her waist looks insane. But when you're comparing them side by side and this goes on stage for 10, 15 minutes, they're gonna let the waist out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of instances where Maureen has the smallest waist on the stage out of all of them. So you got to look at the whole picture and not just like a couple still shots or like a 30-second video or whatever to see the whole thing. But in general, I would say Ashlyn definitely has a better waist than Maureen, but they both have flaws and they both have strengths. That's the thing. So you're gonna have to see who has the least amount of flaws. And on that day, Maureen had the least amount of flaws out of all the bikini Olympians.
Marnie, what was your thoughts on Ashley's package she brought to the stage at Olympia?
She looks absolutely phenomenal, but again, a lot of what I picked up actually was from James's video. I think where you compared Ashlyn and Maureen side by side in the back pose was really
Makes a big
insightful.
difference, eh? Yeah,
Yeah,
you see
really
it. You see it.
insightful because like I think specifically for Ashlyn, like she definitely has like sort of smaller legs from like the glutes down perhaps. So again, talking back to the original point of balance from top to bottom, like there's definitely more of like a what's the word? Like the ratios I would say are better on Maureen in that sense. So it's again, like a lot of our viewers may be amateur athletes and they're trying to learn more about bikini. So when we're talking about waistlines and she's leaner and this and that, that is not what will determine the winner in bikini, right? Like, yeah, you need to be in shape, but all of these girls are in shape. That's not what it's about at this level. It's about structure as well.
No, you're right though, because a lot of them are saying I didn't hear one person say besides me, symmetry.
Mm,
Everyone's saying condition, 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 but she lost because of condition and glute depth. That's glute depth and condition in the waist. That's it. But it's like when I
yeah,
put those pictures side by side and I explain, like, look how symmetrical she is from top to bottom versus Ashlyn has some gaps. You can see there, and it's very and all my replies were like, okay, I see it now. You know what I'm saying? So, but the judges are this close, and that's what they saw too. They're saying, like, look at the symmetry. It's not just one. If it was just like condition, right? Let's say even for open bodybuilding, then Andrew Jack would have won. But there's more to
yeah.
it than just one aspect,
I
so in
think
every category.
I think sometimes as well for bikini, like, and again, you could probably talk more on this, James, because of the girls on your roster, but different levels of condition suit different athletes better. So, like, if Maureen was to come in like way leaner than she was, I guarantee that like she would be given feedback like, you look too lean, you look too stringy. So, again, it really depends on the person.
Mhm.
And if we go back a few years, like when Dorie competed, I remember one year she came into the Olympia and
Shreds.
it
Yeah.
was too small. And like it just
Yeah.
didn't look right on her. It didn't look healthy. It didn't kind of echo the previous look she brought when she won the title.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she was actually leaner at that show, which came second.
yeah, yes,
So
yeah, that's case in point. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not just a conditioning thing.
Going to third place,
Mhm.
Jazzy.
I'm just gonna
Can
grab my charger.
can either of you make an argument for Jazzy to have been the winner?
No. And I'll tell you why. I actually spoke to the judges too about this too. So they just told me that her back shot was too washed out. And I see that here too. And I
Yeah.
actually I mentioned that also in my recap video too, where I thought that her glutes weren't popping enough. And when I spoke to
Yep.
the judges, they said front pose was great, but her glutes just were a little bit too washed out for that look. I think her placing was fair because she has the best front pose of the whole lineup, and it's the most balanced and by far the best one, and Moren with the second best. But her glutes, like last year at Olympia, her glutes were mental, and at the Arnold they were mental too, but they were too big and she was too lean. So here, like they brought her in good condition, but the glutes were just they're soft. If you compare pictures from this Olympia to last Olympia, it's a different look, but her front pose is ridiculously good. And her back shot's still good too, and she has good balance, but the glutes just weren't popping. The problem is everyone was off, so you gotta kind of like pick one, you know. But no, I don't. She doesn't beat Ashlin here because of the she's a little bit softer here in the glutes, and she doesn't have that pop there. You can see like in the tines. I think her and Amy could have probably interchanged positions, and it would have like been fine.
You mentioned something which I was going to save right at the end. You mentioned it a couple of times now. I need to bring it up. This is Olympia. Yeah, this is Olympia. This is the best of the best, the world stage. Thousands of people are watching. Why was everybody off? This is a rarity where we see all the top girls of our top six not nail it for their own potential.
The same thing happened last year too.
But
The same thing happened
everybody,
last year as well. No, yeah, with bikini too. Everyone was off last year.
not to this extent, surely. Not to this
No, to this
extent.
extent, almost.
This extent
Ashley was better.
worse.
Yes, no, you're right. It is worse. But Lorley won the Olympia without her best shape by far. Ashley came in. She wasn't her best shape either. Amy was way too small, and who came third at the Olympia. Jazzy, yeah, Jazzy
Jazzy,
was
yeah.
on, but yeah,
But
yeah,
this is
it was
more
that.
obvious.
Yeah, this is more fucked up. Yeah, but it's so hard to peak for the Olympia, and that's what I was telling Sandy too. I'm like, I'm so excited for you guys to reduce the amount of athletes at the stage because it's impossible to peak at the Olympia. And I've talked to the other coaches too, and they agree. Like Cash is the same thing. Like Jamie, like it's a lot of it is luck. Yes, you have control, but there's a lot of luck at the Olympia because there's so many girls on the damn stage is you got to peak them for like 2 hours straight, and they're like, and the problem is the coaches they can't go backstage either at the Olympia. The Arnold Olympia coach can't go backstage, so it's like you got to make them come out. Sometimes their phone doesn't work because there's 5 million people in the venue in the expo. That was an issue this time, but and they have to go on stage for initial comparisons, and then depending on their name, have to wait 1 hour to go on stage again for routine, and then they got to wait more time to go on stage for the call outs. And it's like and they go flat or they hold water, and it's like it's way too much time for athletes to be hanging around and having to peak them for three consecutive times. If you're at like a normal show, like even like an Arnold's easy, there's 15 athletes. um the girls can maintain the same look that you peak them on for 20, 30 minutes. That's okay, like at any other show. But this one, they got to maintain a look for 2 hours. It's crazy. So that's why, like I said, I'd rather see 40 girls on Olympia stage at 100% than 70 at 90%. But that's I would say is the main reason, honestly. It's very hard to peak girls at Olympia. And it sucks because you want the best girls to look their best. But as a coach and as an athlete, there's too many variables and it's too hard to do it, and it's just like there's a lot of luck involved compared to other shows, which is not fun. So
There's a lot of other things going on as well, though, like what you said initially, James. I think like doing all the photo shoots and meet the
yeah,
Olympians, and,
man,
like
gotta stand at the booths. And
yeah,
then we took like the fucking Tesla tunnel or whatever from our hotel resorts world to the thing, and then we had to walk 12 minutes in the sun outside, and all my athletes were pissed, and I was like, yeah, that was a terrible idea. So it's just like and they're all sweating so it's like there's a lot of
yeah.
factors that it's like that you don't have control over. Where if it's a smaller show, everything is in one hotel. You go
Mm.
there, you don't have to like talk to anyone. You're not sitting at the athlete meet and greet for 4 hours, standing up. Like there's so many factors that come into play and what makes the Olympia peaking so much harder. And that's why you see a lot of athletes off at the Olympia more than anywhere.
Mm.
Why? How come Amy has been like not at her best the last 3 years at the Olympia? I mean, and she kills every other show. I mean, is it just a fluke? I mean, I think it's because of what I just said.
Mm.
Well, talking about Amy, we had her on an interview maybe about a month back. Very confident that she was to bring her very best. She obviously took out the win in Pittsburgh and New York. Um, Fourth place. Thoughts on the package she brought to the stage? Start with you, Marnie.
So
Also,
Go
James.
ahead, James. No,
no,
James,
go.
go. I want to hear what you got to say.
Tyler said that last year that she had the best physique in the whole year at her Pittsburgh show last year. So even better than Lorley. Like that physique that she brought to the 2024 Pittsburgh was the best physique of anyone all year. So she brought that to to that Olympia, she would have won. But then I don't know what happened last year. She came in way too small. This year, I've seen Amy compete at every show. This year at the Pittsburgh too, she was unbelievable. I think if she brought her Pittsburgh look, she wins the Olympia as well. So she's got to bring that. Like she has it in her because she's produced on the stage, but she's got to replicate that and do the Olympia. I feel like she does really good at the start of the year when she's fresh, and then by the Olympia, her body just gives out, you know. So but I think this year again, she's going to do the same thing like Pittsburgh, Arnold, and stuff too, and that hasn't worked the last 3 years in a row. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it doesn't work again next year, then maybe there should be a consideration where it's like, look, we did this 4 years in a row now. We got to just focus on the Olympia and kind of change our strategy a little bit. But I think they filled her up a little bit too much. That's what it looks like. Her tines online pictures look pretty damn good, but in person, her glutes weren't crisp like they were at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I was like front row, like she looked insane. But this show, she looked really good. But I feel like her legs were a little bit too big in the front pose. Maybe it's because she filled up too much, and just her tines and stuff were a little bit less sharp. And I talked to her before finals too in person, her and Jamie, and she said, "Yeah, I felt like I was just like a little bit softer than Pittsburgh. Maybe I filled up too much." So that makes sense to what I think too. So, but she has the densest glutes out of the whole lineup, and just like when she transitions in her walk, you really see it. It's insane. Like this is insane. It's no one has that good of glute shape. So I think everyone at 100%. I think Amy takes it, to be honest. I think she beats even Laura Lee at 100% if Amy's at 100%.
Yeah.
Marnie, what's your thoughts?
Watching Amy, I was really excited for her because again, I do feel like even from like a presentation standpoint, comparable to last year's Olympia. I mean, I wasn't there in person, but I was watching the stream, and I think when I was watching her pose, similar to Laura Lee this year, actually, like she didn't quite have her sparkle. So I think this year, like she definitely brought it. But again, I would agree with what James said. I was gonna initially say glute pop, but I don't think it's that. I think it's more so the detail which makes it not look as 4D as poppy, right?
No, she's maximum filled out. She just needs to be a little bit tighter just to make her glutes pop more. Same thing with Jazzy. Same thing with
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, we're going to look at the 5th and 6th place, and this is probably the ones where a lot of people will be very interested in because, of course, these are the ones where we've seen a bit of a drop. And Ashley Colwasser, for all of her experience, obviously this year she chose to do less shows, and obviously on a couple of shows, focus on the Olympia, and she has dropped down from 2nd to 5th place. It's been a decade since her last Olympia win. James, once again, I have watched your breakdown of the division here. We've seen Adam's feedback about Ashley. I already mentioned the fact that Adam did feel that for Ashley, she'll never beat Moren if it's based on the fact that she's more developed physically wise.
If she was at 100% this show, she could have beat Maureen too. So
what? So where was she not 100%?
I think it was a peaking issue, and she came in a little bit softer. And I talked to judges too now after I've done my video, and they said the same thing as me. They said exactly the same thing as what I said in the video. Her glutes weren't popping like they have in other shows, and her stomach was way too soft in person, way too soft. And that's what I noticed too in person. Her stomach, like it looks fine in this video, but in person, there was body fat on her stomach still. And I've seen her compete this year at the World Class show, like World Classic or whatever, Sandy show in June, and she looked so much better. Her waist was a lot tighter. I still not a fan of her posing. It's better, but it's not up to par with the other girls. But her glutes, they were big and they were dense, but they just weren't coming off 4D off her body. They weren't protruding off her body like a Maureen or like an Ashlin.
So let me ask this question then. She is the most experienced competitor on stage. Her and the coach, they've peaked on numerous occasions to bring the right look. And like you said, the look she brought over at Vancouver, and I forgot the other show she did where she got the win. The judges would like just bring that to the stage at the Olympia. Yeah. How would someone miss the peak on such a big show of Olympia, especially when there's such a seasoned competitor? If it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
What would
it's incremental changes. Like you can see her, she doesn't look bad, but I feel like Adam and Ashley live in Vegas together, so I'm sure they see each other probably every day, but I don't know. I'm not in that camp. I don't know what they did differently, but it could have been what I said with the whole Olympia, like peaking for Olympia is much harder,
Yep.
So even last year she came in good, but not her best by far. So, I don't think doing more shows helps her, obviously, because it hasn't really given her enough data. She's been 5 million shows and she didn't peak for the Olympia properly last 2 years in a row. So I don't think that's necessarily helping her because she knows the look she has to bring. Um, but I do think that taking a break actually helped her because she actually looks more muscular than she'd ever have, to be honest. I think that actually brought up her physique and actually gave her physique a more like a more muscular look, which is something that would I think benefit her. But I think they might have just been behind on conditioning, and I don't want to talk about like personal conversation I had with Adam, but I think he felt the same way going to the show that she would just need to be a little bit tighter overall.
Yeah. I mean, look, the reality as well is another top five finish for Ashley for someone who's gone for so long is still an incredible feat. I guess the only downside is she did feel that there was probably maybe a high chance of dropping down because of course there was only one spot left for her to climb to take the win at Olympia, which unfortunately wasn't the case, but does lead me to probably or arguably the biggest shock of the Olympia. And that is, of course, the reigning champion. And it kills me to say this as well because we all love Laura Lee, but we are doing a breakdown here, so we do need to discuss this. Laura Lee dropping down from first to sixth. And James, you aren't the only person to say this, but there is a consensus that she was even lucky to have six.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be harsh on her, but yeah, this is a third, fourth, fifth call out look. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy that there's a safeguard there because it would just be I would just jump off a bridge if my athlete came from first place Olympia to 47th place. And even for the athlete too, like what do you just retire? It's like I'm never showing my face again. So I kind of get why they do it. Even though I had an athlete right behind her in seventh place that should have beat her, I still understand why they do that. So it's kind of like it's not, is it fair? You can say maybe not based off physique, but I understand why they do that. So, it's a give and take. So depend if it's you, then you would hope that they had a safeguard there in place. You know what I mean? So depends. I'm the one who could probably complain the most because I literally an athlete that was one spot behind her that should have beat her. But I also understand why that happens. But is it surprising? Yes. Is it surprising to me? No, because I know Laura Lee very well. I used to coach her for 3 years and all that stuff too. And um, her mind and her surroundings is always her biggest issue. So she's very, 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 very inconsistent as an athlete, as we've seen. She's probably had the biggest jumps out of any athlete that we've ever seen. Like, she came second at Olympia her first year, 2018. They came sixth at the Arnold 7 months later. And then, at the Olympia, then she was like fourth and fifth and then became second again. Then she came fifth. Like it's all up and down. And her shape is never the same. So you can say the thing with Ashley is like she does a lot of shows. So why didn't she nail for the Olympia? Laura Lee very rarely nails her for the Olympia. Laura Lee's never brought her best look ever to Olympia. Her best looks were probably the Arnold, honestly, to be honest. That's probably a lower stress situation because you're going in and she knew she was going to win because you never know you're going to win, but she was in much big favors there. But the Arnold she typically just does better. But the Olympia, like it's just her mindset. Laura Lee is difficult to coach, just because of all the circumstances around her. So it's very hard to. I remember when I coached Laura Lee, I said it once. I mean, 4 years ago, it's similar to coaching 150 athletes at a time because there's so much that goes into that prep emotionally and just with the surroundings and everything she has to deal with that she never just focus on the prep and just do the work. It looks like that on Instagram where you can just focus on. She's like at the gym and stuff too, but in real life, there's so many things, and I think Kimoto posted a video too after Olympia, like kind of he insinuated that there was outside circumstances affecting a lot that people don't know about. You know what I'm saying? And that totally makes sense to me because that was the same thing that happened to me when I was coaching her. So yeah. So I hope for her that she finally resolves that situation and that she can get back into it. Even though, we had a fallout me and Laura Lee, I still wish her the best and I still, hope that she gets her mind right. I've known her since she was, in her teens. So yeah, I don't like seeing anyone fail like that. I don't like seeing, someone be sad, but you gotta figure out your circumstances that are, surrounding you, and that's important.
Yeah, I think we all agree that look, we all want success for any athlete, and look, Laura Lee's got a huge fan base, and if anyone had any predictions, more likely would have had Laura Lee first place. However,
Yeah.
there was a moment before the Olympia where she did release a YouTube video, and she explained that she's likely to be 3.5 or 4 pounds above her previous weight at last year's Olympia. And James, in your words, it was like playing fire. Playing.
You're just setting yourself up for failure at that point. You can't do that because
So where
yeah,
where would that decision come from to potentially
makes no
add?
sense. Don't know. There's no logical sense to that because she's always between like 130 to 131. That's where she like looks her best. That's where she won the Arnold's and the Olympia and all that stuff too. Even when she was at B was the same. And there's a 100% chance that Sandy and I know for a fact Sandy and Tyler did not tell her come in bigger to Olympia next year. So we made the decision on our own. I don't know if it was her by herself or with her team around her, but I don't know why you would say I'm going to come in 3 or 4 pounds heavier. That's a huge amount of weight. It's not 1 pound. 3 to 4 is a different look, and that's what we saw. And also when she placed fourth, which was also another, which I think was at what 2022. Yeah, after we played second place together, she came fourth the year after, looking very very soft. Remember? Um, and she was 4 pounds heavier than her normal stage weight. So it's like, why would you want to repeat that again? And that's literally what we saw. It was the same type of look as when she came in fourth and was too soft. But this time I feel like they just really sucked the water out of her, so she was downsized. So um, I don't know why you would do that. You've come in at a certain like weight, winning a zillion shows, winning the Arnold 3 times, winning the Olympia, and then you come in looking very soft, placing fourth, you know, weighing 4 or 5 pounds heavier, and then you're like, I'm gonna repeat. I just won the Olympia. Let me go back and add 4 pounds again and come and do the same thing, which is literally exactly what happened, which makes no sense. So yeah, I heard that. I didn't see that video she posted, but I saw that she said that, and I was like, that is a terrible idea. It's not a good idea.
If Laura Lee brought the package she brought in 2024, which, like I said, it wasn't her very best, where would that have placed in this lineup?
Second or first.
I agree.
Maybe first, but it's second, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, second. A Laura Lee at like a 95% still beats an Ashlin at a 98%. So that won't change.
I think Laura Lee knew as well. She knew that she wasn't at her best because it kind of translates in how she's presenting. I don't know if you agree with that, Suki, as well, from what you saw.
I mean, I was looking through a lot of the comments, but I like to see what people are seeing, what other things are similar. And I know there's one bit where she's saying that she looks sad, and it's difficult to tell. I mean, I know when she came out, the crowd roared, and which of course they will always going to. But then straight away when videos were going up, there was a consensus rate asking like, "Well, is she off?" And that 3 to 4 pounds was a bit of a shock when we heard that video. The reign champion, like James said, it's not
Because it was body fat, it wasn't muscle. She didn't add muscle since last year, so she just added 4 pounds of body fat. And this whole sparkle thing, which doesn't have her sparkle, I always hear people say that, but I personally like don't really see it. I feel like it's just like when she's on, everyone's like, "Oh my God, the whole package is there." When she's off, everyone's like, "Oh my God, she lost her sparkle." Like I personally don't see it, but I feel like you see it in the comparisons. But when she does her routine and she doesn't know where she's placing yet, I feel like she's still like the same. But when she realizes she's not in the top four, then she kind of like her face kind of is like, "Oh fuck," which is understandable.
Well, look, we've looked at the top six. I want to just kind of turn this because, unfortunately, just feel a bit negative because we have been talking about, a lot of, well, all the girls did leave a door open for somebody to overtake, and a lot of them, vice versa, they didn't get a chance to overtake the person ahead of them.
My girls too didn't come in at 100%, so I mean,
there we go. But away from the top six and away from your top two girls, I want to ask a question. I want to throw it to you both. Which competitor surprised you the most outside of the top six and James, not a client of yours? Throw it to James and Marty.
Positively.
Sorry?
Negatively or positively?
Positive, yeah. I'm going to focus on positive.
I think it's going to be that blonde Hungarian girl.
I knew you were going to say that.
15,
I was going to say that.
Fucking good. I met her in person too. She's so beautiful and she just has that look, and her upper body's a little bit too big, but holy fuck, she's good.
I wanted to bring her up because, of course, Marnie in our Olympia special did say that I think she could be the biggest surprise.
Really? Oh, yeah.
And just because we know that she
won her pro card this year and then qualified for the Olympia, and I freaking said it. I was like, you'll qualify this year. You will, yeah.
Yes. So what I believe there were only two Europeans in the top 15. Am I correct? Eevee and Victoria.
I think so. And then my girl Alice came 16 or 17.
That was it
She
as
was in
well.
the second call
Yeah,
out. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So no, I mean, James, what was it about Victoria that impressed you?
She just has like she has a lot of maturity, a lot of density, and she's like a newer competitor, I guess. I don't know how long she's been competing for, but just turning pro and looking like this is crazy. So, um, I think her quads may be a little bit overdeveloped in the back pose, but and her delts are definitely a little bit overdeveloped, I think, in the front pose and the back pose. But yeah, she just has like a really good overall symmetry besides that, the delt being a little bit too big. And she had great conditioning, good glute density you see too and stuff. So I mean, she has a lot of potential going forward. We'll see how far they get her though, because she's not with a I think her husband coaches her.
That's right. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a disadvantage because they're not going to be at all the American shows. She doesn't have a coach like kind of keeping up with like the guidelines and like talking to the judges. So it's like that's a little bit of a disadvantage because she's just not their team is not like in the atmosphere going to all the shows in the States too and not being able to like kind of keep up. But they didn't really hurt her here. Obviously, she looks really good. So yeah, we'll see if that's just like a one-time thing or it's she keeps increasing and getting better in placings.
Marnie, I know James stole Victoria, but was there anybody else?
I really love Maria Acosta.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she nailed the look. Yeah, it was good. But she's very
yeah,
consistent too. Yeah.
yeah, she is. She's got a beautiful physique and
She
just
should have been
beautiful
eighth
stage
place
presence.
though.
Yeah, I would have
She
had.
placed ninth. She should have been eighth, 100%. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think this was her best look ever. Yeah.
very well done to Maria. Okay, look, before we wrap up, I do want to ask a question because, in a way, James, you did allude to this when we spoke about Victoria and about coach. I want to ask this question. I'm really keen to hear your opinion. The UK, we only had one competitor at the Olympia this year, and that is obviously Kerry Sexton. We look at other divisions. We men's physique, we had seven, open two, figure two, so only very close to the one in bikini. We want to see more UK competitors over at the Olympia. Now, you just said something about Victoria that there's an element where having a coach, maybe an American coach, that understand the guidelines and the changes and who is in there at these American shows. Is that an important aspect for a
It's a
European?
huge advantage.
There
Yes.
we go. So
And
elaborate.
this is why all my Europeans are doing so good. I have Alice, Eevee's destroying, even the American shows. Alice too, we just won two shows together in a row. Adriana just won an American show too. You're not seeing any other Europeans winning American shows. That Christina girl I think did too. But the problem is with what I see with the European coaches, there's a couple things. The first one is that none of them specialize in bikini. Okay. And all of us top coaches in the States or North America specialize in bikini. Jamie, Cash, Kim, me, Adam, like we're all bikini is like 95%. We have fit models too, but it's very similar. The problem with the European coaches is they coach bodybuilding, they coach figure, they coach wellness, they coach bikini, and you can be okay at everything, but you're not going to be the best at one thing if you're doing too many things. So that's the main problem is they don't have a focus on just bikini and just and I think Kerry's coaches like bodybuilders and figures too, and all this stuff too. But a lot of these European coaches, that's their main downfall is they're not focused, and that's why there's not one good, there's not one bodybuilding coach that's good at coaching bikini, and that has multiple Olympians because they're too set in their way of coaching a bikini athlete like a bodybuilder, and you're not going to learn all the nuances and all like the stuff for the suits and the posing. Like, there's no way a bodybuilding coach can do a breakdown like I just did for bikini in my YouTube video. It's impossible because it takes hundreds, thousands of hours of experience and traveling, going to the shows and talking to the judges and having hundreds of athletes and make hundreds of pros to be able to break things down like that too. And it's important that my athletes have that advantage because I can portray that onto their physique, my experience on their physique. And when you don't have that, you don't necessarily know what you're looking at and how to improve. You know what I'm saying? Like I can pinpoint every single athlete that show their strengths and weaknesses and tell you what they need to improve on. And it'll be 99% what Tyler says as well. Me and Tyler agree 99% of the time because we see all the shows, we see all the athletes, we have the same mind because I'm learning from he makes the criteria and I'm learning from him, right? So and it's more than just his recap videos. It's going to all the shows and seeing. So I think that's a huge disadvantage for athletes in Europe being coached by European coaches because they don't have a niche. They don't have a just specific thing that they focus on. And also the everyone says Europe has a different look, but I think that's more at like a regional level. At the pro level, if it's an American judge, usually almost all the pro shows, an American judge is the head judge. So the look is the same, honestly. It's just the problem is that the athletes there, you have to pick a winner out of, whenever my European girls do a Europe show, they win it because they're following the criteria. I don't change the criteria for them. But if they're doing a European show versus an American show, they do the same. So Eevee, Adriana, all of them, I keep it the same. So it just depends on the athletes that show up that day, and it's also like what their coaches are bringing. So all the coaches are inexperienced, bringing them too lean, then that's the criteria you're going to have. It doesn't necessarily mean that those ones are being uh, uh, awarded in the States for that look, so
And what about
or in
picking,
Europe for that look, sorry.
what about picking shows? Now, Victoria is an exception to the rule because she won a European show and she placed the top 15. But there is a consensus that European girls should go over to the States and compete in the US shows. We saw Alice do two shows in the US and win both of them. If she had Alice just won two European shows versus two US shows, would we have seen her in that top 20, a top 18 placing?
You're saying Alice or who?
Oh, yeah,
Or Victoria?
no,
Yeah,
your
Victoria
client
was already
Alice.
she was in 16, 17, so she was there.
Yeah,
You're saying if she didn't do that, would she have been that high?
yeah.
Um, that's a
Because the
good
reason why I
question.
say that is
Yeah,
because
no, you're right. Yeah.
people are always saying that you need to be in front of, in America against fellow competitors who are always going to be Olympians. Because if you compete a European show, it's you maybe one or two or three Olympians, if that. But majority, we're told, go to the US and do that show. And if you win a show there, you're going to put yourself on the map to hopefully
It
get a
makes a
strong
difference,
result.
and I'll explain to you why. Because first of all, you're gonna get in front of the top. Like Evie doing Pittsburgh and New York and destroying at those shows, I think made a huge difference because it showed that she can beat top Olympians. She beat so many top Olympians at both those shows, and she came 1 point off beating Maureen. She should have beat Maureen at that show, but she came 1 point off beating Maureen, and that made her like everyone's like, okay, put Evie on watch because that's why I knew she was gonna. If she didn't do those shows, I wouldn't have said you're guaranteed coming top 10. But since she did those shows, we've already beat all of those girls. It's like, well, I mean, we just bring you in like we have, and you're gonna beat them again, and that's exactly what we did. So I mean, she was a little bit too tight, but either way, we still beat everyone that she beat before. So I think that makes a big difference. You need to go in the States. If you're going, there's a lot of these European girls that compete in the States and they didn't do very well. That's not going to help them, right? But if you're going to the States like an Alice and she just won Battle of the Bodies in front of Tyler, in front of 40 bikini girls and like 10 Olympians, then obviously she's on the radar. And then she does Dominican in front of Tyler again and wins that show, even though it's weaker. He saw improvement from show to show, and it just shows that she's able to stand her ground in the States. For Victoria, would have helped her maybe, but we don't know how she would have placed in the States. Like we have to see. But I think in the future, yeah, you have to. Yeah,
I guess the question is,
it
yeah,
helps.
the question is,
It helps.
should more European competitors look at competing in the States to give them the best opportunity to get on the radar and also succeed in the Olympia rather than maybe just doing the European shows?
Yeah, I think it helps. But I see a lot of Europeans coming over to the States and doing shows, but they don't look good enough to win, and they don't know how to get good enough to win. So, let's say you have like a European coach who's not as experienced, and they're throwing you into American shows, and you're going up, against these American athletes or with American coaches who know the criteria properly. You're at a disadvantage right away. Not because there's politics, or whatever. It's just because your coach doesn't know the look that you need to bring. So you're making mistakes. So I'll give you an example like, um, man, I'm not really good. I'm really bad with names, but it was like an Italian girl that came over and competed against Alice too, and then the Hungarian girl, what's her name? God, I'm so bad with names, but
You
it was like a
think
Hungarian. Yeah, go ahead.
the
Um,
other Italian? Are you thinking?
Hungarian.
The
Yeah.
Hungarian. Who's that? Who's the other Hungarian, Molly?
My God,
The only other Italian I could think
Right,
of
it's
who may have
like
come over, Sarah
it
or
wasn't Anna
Anicetic.
Sedlak, but
No.
I think it was Sarah or something. But there was another one
Yeah.
like Zofia. Sorry, Hungarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zofia, the Hungarian. So they came over
Oh yeah.
and they placed, I think, like like fifth, sixth, or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's so many things they could work on. Like that
Been
could
there,
fix
done
them in
that.
2 seconds.
I
Like,
think as a coach, like when you've got that constant exposure to the look at the top, the look that is winning shows, you can't replace that kind of experience until you see it with
yeah,
your own two eyes live in action. It's like
yeah.
very hard to know what it is you're aiming for, I think.
And it's
So
different if you're a coach and you're coaching 10 bikini athletes and let's say two of them are pro versus coaching hundreds of bikini athletes. You know what I'm saying? Because you learn a lot from every athlete that you coach, always,
Yeah.
constantly. Like every show, I learn something new. So even if it's an amateur, I'm like, oh fuck, actually, I can actually apply it to other girls as well. So I mean, it's just like repetition and being there. And I traveled to like, I think last year I traveled like, I think 38 weekends. Like that's a lot. You know what I'm saying?
You're coaching
So
every
like,
athlete so differently as well, right, James? Because like everybody needs different things. Everybody needs
yeah,
slightly different goals. It's not just like this is how I coach bikini girls and then everybody does the same thing. Like I'm sure
yeah,
like
you gotta,
Dorie's gonna be
yeah.
coached different to Eevee or whatever,
Oh,
right?
so different, so
Yeah.
different. Yeah, like all their plans are different. And it's like, you if you're doing a cookie cutter plan and you're following the same thing for every athlete, you're never gonna have consistent results. You need inconsistent plans that will get you not inconsistent plans, but you can't have the same plan for
Mm,
every single athlete and then expect consistent results. It's not how it works. It's not 1 + 1 = 2 for everyone. Sometimes
yeah.
it's 1 + 3 = 5 or whatever, just as an analogy. But um, yeah, Evie is coached completely different than Ari. Jen Dorie was coached completely different than Laura Lee. Issa's coached completely different than all of them. So it's just different, and they still get great results. Like I've made, I think, 130 pros now or something like that, and yeah, none of them have the same preps. So it's just it's always different. And yeah, if you feel like you're being coached the same as every other athlete, you're never gonna have a coach that's like winning, 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 that's doing the same thing for everyone. It's not possible because everyone's different. So, and that's what I like about bodybuilding. We're not gonna be taken over by AI because you can't, because everyone's so different.
Before
Yeah.
we wrap it up, we just mentioned about Jennifer Dorie. I caught up with her at Olympia, and she confirmed to me that after she kind of starts family, she will be returning to the stage. She isn't retired. It'll have been a few years out. With what Jennifer Dorie can bring, can she still be a top contender? Because we know how quick the division can move away, especially when you have a few years away.
I think a 1 year difference would be enough, but like the only one we've ever seen, like actually no, we've never seen a bikini athlete leave, have a kid, come back and be a top Olympia again, ever. So that's one thing. Like Angelica, we saw, which came 10th,
Yeah.
so that's a big difference. We've seen athletes take 1 year off and come back and place much lower, like Janet. Janet went from first to ninth, I think, taking 1 year off, which is crazy. It's very hard to come back and do well. We've never seen it with athletes that have a kid and do it. So, but Ashley took 3 years off and then came back and still was at the top. I shouldn't have any kids. So, but if anyone could do it, I think Jen could do it, honestly. She's really smart and she works really hard and she has that look and she's not if it's anyone that she would be able to do it. So I would have faith in her be able to come back and she knows too if she looks like shit, she's not going to go compete. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she's very objective with herself and she knows when she looks good and she's just like strategic and smart. So if anyone could do it, and I think it would be her. Is it highly likely that she would have kids and then come back and win the Olympia? No, but it's plausible. We'd have to see how she would look after that. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was just gonna say, like, clearly this past weekend shows that the bikini criteria has not changed. So yeah, I think in saying that, I think yeah, Jen could absolutely do it. Why not?
All right. 60 seconds for me to wrap up. James, I'm just going to test you on your own stats. 2025, how many iPro cards have you won this year?
can I look at my phone or no?
No.
I don't,
Put you on the spot.
oh fuck. between 23 to 27 around
23, 27. And what about
between that range.
number of pro wins?
Oh fuck, I don't
Do you
know. I have
know?
to look at my phone again. It's all on my phone. I don't know. Like
Too many.
maybe like 7, 8-ish.
And there's no way that you're going to know the amount of
Maybe
miles that
more.
you've traveled this year
No,
for shows,
fuck, I
having
don't
done
want to
30
know.
weekends.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, look, James,
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. Like I said, guys, I am going to put James's YouTube video in the bio below, so do check it out. It's a full 1 hour breakdown, so I do urge you to look into it because it does go into more detail than what we've just gone through here. But otherwise, James, I really do appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll catch up again very soon.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys very much.